Looking at XRP's price chart, it's no surprise why everyone is getting infuriated with the price action. Obviously, there's a lot of us that are looking at this as a big opportunity, but there's also a lot of people that are looking at this and getting extremely negative, getting extremely frustrated, or even just bearish on XRP. And I completely understand the frustration. But looking at things, what if I told you that XRP is technically setting up for a major move in 2026? Looking at the price chart, it may not look like that, but if we're looking at the 1 week view and we're removing everything off of this chart real quick, looking at the price action, yes, we are in a significant downtrend. One that, for the most part, has shaken out a ton of retail holders. But this is typically the time where you want to start paying attention to an altcoin where all hope is lost. Nobody wants to look at it. Nobody wants to hear about it. Nobody even wants to buy it. This is the time to lock in and focus up, because once we start to create on the weekly an uptrend or some sort of floor, that's the signal. That's the signal that the bottom is potentially in and we could start to see a major reversal. We saw this happen back in April as well of this year, where we had a massive downtrend, and this downtrend lasted for quite a bit of time, right? We started to wick in January. We had a slight push to the upside, but it wasn't a higher high. So then we just sold off, and it happened for 84 days. Right now, since our prior high, we have been trading sideways for almost double that at 161 days. This has been a very long time for us to not create a new high and for us to also be in a very rough downtrend. But this is also setting the stage for a much larger rally from our base that we form. And we have yet to form a base. However, if we're looking at things on the lower time frame structure, we could start to see a bullish formation on the chart before we see a macro one. So looking at this on the 4-hour view and just kind of zooming out on XRP, we are starting to create a potential bullish structure where we are in a higher low setup, but we have yet to see a higher high. This is something that I'm going to be watching for the next couple of days and technically going into 2026, because what we want to see out of XRP is a reclaim of $2 on this chart, which would immediately flip this chart back into bullish territory on the lower time frame structure. And then if we're looking at this on the 24-hour view, the main thing that we are looking at after we reclaim $2, because even on the 24-hour view at $2, we will be in bullish structure. But the main thing that I want to see is us start to kind of build out a much larger, push to the upside where we are flipping key support levels. So initially, yes, $2 is the focus. After that, we want to see $2.20. After that, about $2.30. Once that is officially reclaimed, we will be back into bullish structure on not just the lower time frame view, but also even on the higher time frame view as well, because we will be reclaiming all of the lows going all the way back to April, as well as going back to the summer. So this is what I'm watching for on XRP. So far, we are seeing a slight base on XRP, especially on the 4-hour view, but I want to see this continue. And if we are really going to maintain this on the daily view, we need to hold $1.83 on the daily as our major support zone. So I'm watching this closely. But let's look at a few things that are pretty bullish about XRP right now that is hinting at this, potentially being fully bottomed and having a much larger rally going into 2026. Let's start off with, of course, the most recent announcement from this November 6, 2025 article from MasterCard. So big shout to Wrath of Kahneman. We have ETF monthly report is very bullish about Ripple's pilot with MasterCard, noting it gives Ripple and MasterCard a first mover advantage over rivals like Visa's Ethereum pilots or Solana's Shopify ties. This is due to compliance advantages, claims it ties directly to XRP demand as well. Look at this. This is pretty interesting. So we have Ripple announced a landmark pilot program in collaboration with MasterCard, WebBank, a regulated US bank acting as the card issuer, and Gemini, a major crypto exchange. The initiative focuses on exploring the settlement of fiat credit card payments using Ripple's USD stablecoin, ROUSD, on the XRP ledger, which is Ripple's public blockchain powered by XRP. Now, we do have the implications. obviously accelerated institutional adoption of stablecoins and blockchain settlements. This pilot marks one of the first regulated US bank integrations of a public blockchain for credit card settlements, bridging traditional finance giants like MasterCard with crypto infrastructure. By using ROUSD on the XRP ledger, it demonstrates practical utility for stablecoins in high volume payments, potentially paving the way for wider rollout across MasterCard's network. Enhanced utility and demand for XRP in real-world payments. This directly ties XRP to everyday spending. While ROUSD handles these settlements, XRP serves as XRP Ledger's native token for securing the network, paying fees, and enabling liquidity. Via automated market makers, increased transaction volume from card settlements could drive organic demand for XRP, especially if the pilot scales to include XRP conversions for merchants or rewards. And then, of course, we do have that regulatory green lights and competitive edge in tokenized finance. The pilot reassures stakeholders of XRP Ledger's compliance with WebBank ensuring fiduciary standards. It gives Ripple and MasterCard a first mover advantage over rivals like Visa's Ethereum pilots or Solana Shopify ties, potentially capturing a slice of the multi-trillion-dollar card payment market. So this is very exciting. And again, it does clearly give us that green light that XRP is ready for increased regulations, which we also know is a major catalyst going into 2026, as we do hear from Paul Atkins, acting SEC chair. The Crypto Market Structure Bill and the Clarity Act passed by the House will soon go to Congress. Check it out.
Now, there's a market structure bill that's going through, the Clarity Act that was passed by the House. And so that we'll see where that goes in Congress. And so I'm hoping that they'll be able to get that through. But in the meantime, we in the CFTC will be, and already are, actively working on harmonizing our two systems. So
yeah, I mean, listen, going into 2026, we could definitely get this stuff fully passed through, which is going to be a massive catalyst for these legitimate assets in the space like XRP. This is going to pave the way for increased adoption, increased use, and of course, increased demand. Now, on top of that, we do know recently I made a video talking about this new yield product called Earn XRP, which launched on Flare Network, aiming for 4 to 10% returns by deploying capital across various on-chain strategies. Now, this recently did launch. Now, we do know that Flare said foundation, usage, and scale. 2025 proved XRP-Fi works on chain. 2026 is about expanding it. So now we know that XRP-Fi is going to expand in 2026 at the same exact time that we know that institutional adoption is going to pick up in a big way. We heard this from the CFTC previous chair, Caroline D. Pham. On top of that, we do know that the structure bill as well as the Clarity Act, that's going to get most likely passed through in 2026. Also streamlining increased adoption around this space at the same exact time that we already know that Ripple and XRP have that first mover advantage through these major integrations. And already the ETFs performing exceptionally well, even in a down market. All of this is building up behind the scenes as a massive catalyst. Now, how well did this Earn XRP product do? Well, let's talk about a few things. Let's go over here real quick from Crypto Airy, which this is XRP Flare Networks plus Firelight Fi. First 54 million in 6 hours, 3,000 deposits, 100% retail capital, not a single TVL deal, only 5 deposits over $1 million. We were extremely surprised of the support by the community and we're very proud of it. Check this out.
And we were pleasantly surprised that we hit the caps within 6 hours, the first 54 million, and it was 100% retail capital. We didn't have a single TVL deal. We didn't have a single institutional deposit. It was over 3,000 deposits, the biggest one. There were only 5 over 1 million. So we were extremely surprised that of the support by the community, and we were very proud of it. And then now the question is, when are we gonna do cap 2?
So yeah, it already hit that over $50 million cap, which is crazy, in 6 hours. It's clearly showing you the demand around these XRP-Fi products. And also, we have another one, which is Big Unlock. Wait a minute. The XRP aha moment, yield to XRP holders to provide capital to the insurance business. And this is focusing on, of course, Firelight Fi and how it was not created for the existing degens, but to bring the next $300 billion in TVL. This is crazy. Check it out.
And it was funny because we were discussing credit and insurance pricing on one side, and then Firelight was kind of happening on the other side. And then I don't know what the aha moment between the two of us was like, wait a minute, XRP collateral on Flare pays nothing. XRP collateral pays nothing anywhere. What if we could give yield to XRP holders who have a systemically important asset, large market cap, tons of liquidity, but very little utility? So being able to unlock the demand of XRP holders to basically provide the capital to the insurance business was kind of, the big unlock for us. The intention of Firelight is not to ensure people who are already comfortable with the risk they're taking in DeFi. What the intention of Firelight is to bring on the next 300 billion of TVL into crypto, who we see as the main gating factor. Now that the political headwinds have changed, the regulatory headwinds have changed, there's clearly demand from traditional, may them albeit more payments and fintechs than banks, to be in this space either through stablecoins or DeFi. I think the last big hurdle is smart contract risk, which is hard for them to understand or define. And I think at an oversimplified version of Firelight is Firelight converts smart contract risk into collateralization risk, which these players understand. So we think for that reason, this will be a big unlock to bring in new capital into DeFi that requires this insurance. So think about if PayPal decided to offer, earn with PYUSD in your Venmo account, fully insured by Firelight. Think of Revolut offering this to their clients. Think of Coinbase and Kraken debit cards offering, hey, while your cash is sitting on platform, earn collateralized and above treasury yield. This is what we're building Firelight for. We're not building it for the existing degens, but there will be a transition period where we start with existing DeFi risks to insure and then evolving that.
So again, these types of XRP-Fi products are, not just your typical DeFi related products. They want to expand that into the traditional world through like the insurance side of things, or, this could potentially expand into other avenues as well. I mean, if we're thinking about how successful some of these things could be, if we see $300 billion in TVL, I mean, you got to think about that's nearly double what XRP's market cap is today. I mean, our current market cap on XRP, it's actually a little bit more than double. 111.8 billion, even fully diluted value, it's almost double that. It's crazy to think that this could happen, but this is the type of products that are being built around the XRP ecosystem right now. This is why I keep saying that like the long-term path here for XRP is so incredibly bullish. That I don't want you guys to get caught up in the short term. I understand that it's concerning. I understand that it's frustrating, but this is why the long-term view here for XRP, or even just crypto itself, is so incredibly bullish. Now, on top of all of this, right, we also know that the ETFs have been doing exceptionally well. I said it earlier in the video. The market has been in a downtrend. I mean, you got to think about like this XRP from the time that we started to see the ETF launches, okay? XRP is still down well over 37%, current price action 35% down, and the ETFs are still on a hot streak. XRP ETFs recorded 8.19 million in net inflows in the last session, lifting total ETF held assets to $1.25 billion. And we do have, of course, the ETF net inflows. I mean, this is crazy. It's going all the way back to November, and it's just been an uptrend of inflows. It's wild to look at this. Day by day by day, we are seeing more and more demand for XRP ETFs. And I really do think that, this is not just retail here. We're still seeing institutional players jumping in to XRP. But it's crazy when you look at this and you look at everything happening around XRP, it's very easy to come to the conclusion that, the demand here and everything happening around XRP is all pressure while the market is sleeping. Once this market wakes back up, XRP is going to be, a giant. It's a sleeping giant right now. Just imagine when it officially wakes up with all of this pressure behind it building. I don't think that people are prepared for what happens when we see that reversal in this market, that true reversal. Once that happens and we break out of this downtrend, XRP is going to be a very, very violent chart that a lot of people are going to look back on and say, well, everyone was bearish right here, and this is the turning point for XRP. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If